Welcome to the Lineup HQ Breakdown Show, and we're coming to you with one of the sharpest minds in the biz, and it's not me. It's Dave Potts. Cheese is good. What's happening, Cheese?
Good morning to you, and probably good afternoon to people who are watching this in the future.
Yes. So there might be some like minor lineup changes. Like we've got an idea, but you never know what kind of curveball could come our way, right?
Yeah, well, we're recording this before any lineups are out, and Thursday is one of those days you get a few weird lineups. So we may highlight a player that, hey, you got to play this guy, and he's not in, so don't play him.
Yeah, that's good advice there. We do have kind of a weird split slate going on with DK starting an hour earlier. It's 4 games there. FanDuel 3-gamer. So we're going to go through both of them here, and that will help the people figure out what they're going to do on the various sites. I think we should start with the DK 4-gamer if that works for you.
I think we should. And the big picture on both of these slates is incredibly clear who the best plays and who the chalk are. It is not any mystery to try to find the best plays. It's going to be all about where and if you want to get different for the sake of being different. Like the best plays are the best plays, and they're going to be popular. There's not much mystery in it.
Okay, but if you just play the best plays that are popular, you're not going to win $100,000 because a bunch of other people are going to do that.
Correct.
Okay, well then let's talk about the best plays, and then let's talk about some of the good plays that aren't the best that are going to come a little low owned. Start us off with a little pitcher talk.
So in general, let me refresh this because my projected ownership numbers disappeared. If there's chalk on the pitching side and the hitting side, and I like and agree with all the chalk, my preference is usually going to be to play the chalk on the pitching side. Mm-hmm. And that is certainly my preference tonight.
Is there a reason for that?
Because the pitching is more predictable and more consistent start to start.
A good pitcher is going to put up good numbers, whereas a great hitter can still 0 for 4.
Right. And it's a pure matter of sample size. If you think about a hitter's going to get 4 at bats. So you have a sample size of 4. A pitcher is going to face 30 batters. So you have a sample size of 30, period. Ta-da. There you go.
That makes a lot of sense. I never thought of it that way. I like it.
And so with that in mind, like the mega chalk tonight is Spencer Strider. The fact that he's cheaper than Bieber and Woodruff doesn't really matter. It adds to the chalkiness of him, but he would be the top play even if he were the 10K guy and these other two were the 9K guys. Okay. His matchup's a little better. He is a better pitcher for DFS because he's the higher strikeout pitcher. And because it's only a 4-game slate, the next two guys, Bieber and Woodruff, are going to be plenty darn chalky on their own. It's not as if you're being sneaky to play Bieber Woodruff because they're still both going to be close to 50% owned. So to me, Strider is good chalk even at 65% ownership because the pivots are also high owned. So anything you do outside of those 3 pitchers, you're playing clearly worse guys just for the sake of being different.
Is it okay to do that?
It is, because they did price up the clear best bats enough that you can't go Strider Woodruff with like the 4 top Braves bats, which is a good thing. So the couple of guys I'll point out, I guess the first thing to say, Rich Hill, last game, people who game log watch are going to see that he had like the best game maybe ever. I don't know. I haven't gone back through his game log. He had 40 DK points. He struck out 11 batters.
Oh, I love it. I'm all about recency bias. Give me 100% of that.
Now, he has 19 starts this year. The other 18 are all bad to maybe okay. Like he's been great once in 19 tries. It happened to be 5 days ago that happened. I'm not in on him. I don't buy it. I don't like him. But that is in the range of outcomes because he did it on Saturday. Obviously it can happen. But Merrill Kelly is a better pitcher than Rich Hill. And so if I'm trying to get different, I'm doing it with Merrill Kelly. And then I'm also doing it with Kyle Bradish, who is the kind of guy that can succeed against Cleveland. Like basically, he throws a bunch of strikes and BABIP and home run to fly ball. If all the balls just go against him, he can get shelled. But Cleveland's actually kind of an okay matchup for him. Like he's not going to rack up strikeouts, but other than a couple guys in the middle, like this is the spot I could see seven easy, quick innings. So officially, I like Bradish over Hill as the cheap guy. But there's such a big gap between those top three and the next group that I'm more on the side of eating chalk, playing all the Strider with a mix of Bieber and Woodruff.
Okay, great stuff. Let's talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks here, and we're going to stick with DK for now. We'll circle back at the end and kind of touch on your favorite FanDuel plays.
Yeah, so the very clear dividing line is the Braves and the Red Sox, and then everybody else. And really the Braves first, Red Sox second, and then everybody else. Projections and ownership will follow that. I just pulled up, these are the RG projections ranked by just total points. Other than Jose Ramirez, it's just a bunch of Braves and Red Sox.
Wow, yeah.
And that's what it is. And that's how the ownership's going to go as well. The next team in line on DK is probably Cleveland, although I like Texas slightly ahead of Cleveland. And then Milwaukee is kind of the next wild card to throw in there.
Okay. Do you want to go position by position here on DK and kind of touch upon a favorite?
Yeah, I guess we should. All of the favorites and all of the chalk are going to be Braves. And because there's 9 hitters, I don't know if you know that, Kevin, there are 9 hitters in the Major League lineup.
Yeah.
They can't all be chalk. Like that's just the way it works. Like you can only play 5 of them in one lineup. It's not like every single one of them is going to be in every single lineup because that's not possible. But the way the pricing works, I think you're going to see a ton of 1 or 2 of Olsen, Riley, Acuna with a couple of the cheap guys, Grissom, Rosario, Grossman, depending on how the lineup looks. Which makes me like Travis d'Arnaud even a little more. He might be one of the left out guys. He won't be totally left out because he's a catcher, but he's far and away the best catcher. Okay. My preference outside of him, while Jonah Heim will probably be the next chalkiest, I actually like spinning up to Rutschman. He's really good. He's facing Bieber, and he's really expensive. So this is your chance to play the best hitting catcher on the slate at very low ownership. So I like Rutschman.
Good way to get different. All right, first base.
Matt Olson, far and away the best play for sure. But here's a spot I think you can save money and play Franchi Cordero. He's going to be popular too because the Red Sox are popular and he's a cheap Red Sox. But I don't feel like you have to play him in stacks. So I don't mind him as the one-off in a Braves lineup. I would play Rowdy Tellez ahead of Josh Naylor as the mid-tier guy. And then similar to the Rutschman thing, I was going to say Mountcastle thing, where I think you just want to play some good players against good pitchers. For me, that would be Christian Walker at first base against Woodruff.
Okay. All right. Second base.
I guess Trevor Story is the only guy I kind of like. I think Story, Simeon, and Colton Wong are the chalk. I don't think anyone's actually going to play Jimenez at that salary. And I still don't really love him. I think Wong is good chalk in a cash game and good chalk in a Brewer stack, but not great individual chalk against a decent pitcher. So I much prefer getting Trevor Story if you can.
Okay. Anything else there or to third?
I guess the random punt would be Mark Mathias at 2K against Rich Hill.
Okay. I thought Rugi was going to get brought up here, but
Against Bieber, like he should just strike out 4 times.
Okay. That's often that's like the usual outcome for him just in general. But all right. Third base.
Third base is interesting because we do have 3 studs, which gives me some hope that Austin Riley will not be the chalk. Our early morning ownership numbers actually show him third. I think that'll probably flip and he moves up, but I do like Riley better than Ramirez and Devers. And maybe just because that's the one spot where you can make a case not to play the Braves guy. I think that's the spot you just do play the Braves guy. He's the best hitter right now, and the Braves are ahead of these other teams.
Very nice. Okay. Shortstop.
As per usual, shortstop is just really good. We love the shortstops, Kevin, don't we?
We do. Big fan.
We do. It's all Braves and Red Sox. Swanson and Bogarts are the two favorite guys. Corey Seager in a lefty probably ends up behind them. And I love all 3 of them. But I love the Braves more than anything. And if it continues to look like the ownership gets spread out amongst those 3, then I want Swanson.
Okay.
And I guess let's mention this. You asked yesterday briefly on the show, didn't the Orioles call up some superstar? It's Gunnar Henderson.
Yes, and he went yard yesterday.
Yeah. Now he is facing Bieber, but it's not going to be long we can get this guy under $3,000. I think he's definitely worth a shot while he's at this salary. Like, this is a very legit prospect.
Right. It feels like Rutschman when they brought him up, and for a while he was cheap, and it was like, oh, you get to play this guy at 2.5. Soon he's going to be 5K, and it just seems like our chance.
Yeah.
Outfield.
All right. Acuna is going to project like far and away as the best guy, but he is also $6,000 on a slate where if you're playing the aces, salary does matter. So I don't think you need Acuna. He's not my favorite Brave. I prefer Olsen and Riley ahead of him if you're just picking out a couple Braves to spend on. Unfortunately, I think, and who knows what the Braves lineup will be for sure, but assuming it's as projected, I think Rosario and Grossman are going to be really popular just because those are the salary pieces that let you fit a Brave stack. So I would rather try to play Michael Harris kind of in that mid-tier. Like, he's stuck right in between Acuna and those cheap guys in pricing, and he should get moved back down the lineup, assuming Acuna's in. So I would say I like Harris the best for that reason. My favorite spend up to be not super different, but a little different is Adolis Garcia against Rich Hill. And then the Red Sox outfield, like the whole outfield, Verdugo probably coming in ahead of Martinez for me, and Tommy Pham, I think, also ahead of Martinez. But those 3 guys, I want them in Red Sox stacks, but I don't love them on their own. I would rather play Adolis Garcia or maybe even a Renfroe or Yelich.
Okay. Before we get to FanDuel, I have kind of a complex question for you, but you're smart. You can handle it. On a slate like this, all right, if you're picking one stack to win it all, you mentioned, all right, you're already going chalkier pitchers, so you probably don't want to go Atlanta, I assume. Is that accurate?
So it depends what kind of tournament you're talking. If you're talking single entry, I would say you don't want to go Atlanta. If you're talking multi-entry, it depends on how many entries you're doing. Like, this is not the slate you want to put 3 Atlanta stacks in the 150 max and think you're going to be different. But
because you need it every way.
If you're a 150 maxer, I think you could do 100 Brave stacks.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Is this also the kind of slate where, because it's smaller and because there's clear chalk, does it make sense to try and pick and choose bats here? Or are you strictly, if you're 150 and you've got like 150 stacks?
Yes. I don't see enough bats that I like to try to pick them outside of stacks.
Gotcha.
I would be okay to land on like some 4-3-1 type stuff. I don't think it just has to be 5-3, 5-3. but all the games aren't games where you have 4 or 5 hitters with clear home run upside. And the path to a non-Braves or Red Sox anything winning is more one of these other teams just kind of going nuts and breaking into the middle of the bullpen. I don't see this as a slate where I think I can pick out 8 one-offs that hit home runs.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. That's a great answer. All right. That is all covered here. We got to talk FanDuel real quick. There's one less game, so I don't think we need to go as in depth. Maybe we just pull out from what we did on DK.
Yeah, so it's very similar. So we lose the Cleveland Baltimore game, which means that Strider and Woodruff are now kind of it, and Strider will be even more clear mega chalk. Which does, that does make me want to play a little more Woodruff. Because, Strider's better, but we're still looking at a kid with a really small sample size versus Woodruff, who's been really great for 3 years. And I don't think, if we're looking at our current ownership numbers are showing 60-20, 3 times the ownership for Strider. And that's probably realistic. He's not 3 times better than Brandon Woodruff or 3 times more likely to win tonight. So I'm okay to split those 2 up. But I'm less interested at all in any of the other nonsense.
Okay, good to know. All right, talk about some of the bats here.
So it's all going to be the same stuff where except Braves and Red Sox will pick up even more ownership because you remove those Cleveland bats who are, also kind of popular. So I think I want to play more Texas on the FanDuel slate. Instead of just trying to do 4-4 Braves Red Sox, I would rather do 4-4 Braves Rangers, or do this is where I'll do more 4-2-2s and do a bunch of varieties of Brave stacks with Brewers and Rangers. And I'm also going to throw in Diamondbacks and even a couple of Rockies bats, because once you get down to three games, there's just no way to be different and be good. You're playing for nonsense unpredictability. If you're trying to win a large field tournament, you need something completely random that you would never project to happen, unless you're just playing the chalk, because the chalk is good. So I'm absolutely going to have, a Rocky stack and Arizona mini stacks with a bunch of different Braves combos. And what you want in those is if you're playing those other teams, you can just play the best bats. You can play Christian Walker and Dalton Varsho, and you can play CJ Cron and Ryan McMahon, whoever you want. Whereas if you're playing the Red Sox and the Braves, you need to get a little bit weird with it. Stack the Braves without Acuna or Olsen, and stack the Red Sox without Devers or Pham or Bogarts. Just go way off the board and do bottom of the order stacks and things like that.
Okay.
But as far as position by position, there's no other players here. And the salaries are similar to where the only sneaky thing you can do is make bad lineups and hope for baseball to happen.
Right. And baseball will happen.
Yeah, baseball will happen tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to add here? Because I feel like you have covered everything pretty well. I have a good understanding here.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much that. And there's just only so many ways to go when there's 3 and or 4 games on a slate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. As always, it's good not just hearing your plays, but also learning from you throughout the course of a season. I just get better just hearing you and understanding, your game theory. So I always do appreciate that. Always a pleasure working with you. This has been the Lineup HQ Breakdown Show. We appreciate you guys watching. We're going to be back to regularly scheduled crunch times going forward as slates get back to normal for tomorrow. Have a good one.